Today, he is best known for the Goosebumps and Fear Street series. But what was the road traveled to get to this point? Known as the Stephen King of children's literature, Robert Lawrence Stine was born October 8th, 1943 in Columbus, Ohio, growing up in the nearby suburb of Bexley. He started writing at 9 years old after finding an old typewriter in the attic of his house. At the time, he had dreams of being a comic illustrator and would often pass around his drawings to his friends. However, his artistic abilities left a lot to be desired, and his friends never hesitated to say so. So after finding the typewriter, he realized he may not be able to draw, but he can write, and wrote joke books and started passing those around instead. While attending Ohio State University, Stine was editor of the university newspaper called The Sundial. He finished college with an English degree and moved to New York City to pursue a writing career. R.L. Stine landed at Scholastic, where his wife Jane worked as well. Jane was the editor of the Scholastic magazine Dynamite, which was a huge magazine for Scholastic. The success of this magazine allowed Robert to become editor of his own magazine, a lifelong dream fulfilled, so he became editor and main writer for the humor magazine Bananas, writing under the name Jovial Bob Stine. From 1975 to 1984, he ran the magazine, and then sales declined, and Bananas was discontinued by Scholastic, and Stine was let go. His wife, in 1983, had also left Scholastic, founding Parachute Press with her business partner, Joan Maricha. Stine was happy, having done the humor magazine he had always wanted to do, and figured he could coast on popping out joke books for the rest of his life. Then one day, in 1986, Stine had lunch with a friend from Scholastic, Jean Fywell, who was their editorial director. She had something in mind. She had just had a fight with a Scholastic young adult horror novelist who she swore she would never work with again, and approached Stine with a project she needed for Scholastic's Point Horror series. She asked him if he would write a young adult thriller called Blind Date. After researching how to even write such a thing, 3 months later he completed Blind Date, and it was immediately a #1 bestseller. He followed it up with another point horror title named Twisted, which was also a #1 bestseller. He realized young adult horror was something he was exceptionally good at. Well, it sold anyway. In 1989, frustrated with the limited amount of novels Scholastic allowed him to publish with point horror, he developed the Fear Street series with Parachute Press. A series very similar to the point horror novels, but centered on a cursed street in a cursed town. The Fear Street series found immediate success. Also around this time, Stine was approached by Kit Laybourne to bring him on board as head writer and character developer for the Nickelodeon show Eureka's Castle, which lasted for 3 seasons. Then, in 1992, Parachute Press came to Stine with a proposal of writing a horror series for children ages 7 to 12. He immediately rejected the idea. At this point in his career, he was in the business of killing teenagers in his Fear Street and point horror novels, and assumed a little kid variety of horror stories would hurt his brand, as well as the Fear Street series. After repeated insistence, RL relented, and they were signed to publish 6 books for the new series with Scholastic. The 6 books were Welcome to Dead House, Stay Out of the Basement, Monster Blood, Say Cheese and Die, Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, and Let's Get Invisible. Welcome to Dead House and Stay Out of the Basement were both released in July 1992 and sat on store shelves, not budging. This was not a promising sign. The third novel, Monster Blood, was released in September 1992, and by the time Say Cheese and Die was released in November 1992, the series was beginning to explode. Stine was uncertain what the catalyst was to ignite the sales of the books, which at first seemed dire, but I can tell you anecdotally, having turned 10 in the summer of 1992, once school started back up in the fall, the Scholastic book orders were passed out in classes. The Goosebumps logo and that amazing cover art were all over those things. Couldn't get any better, especially with Halloween fast approaching. We were begging our parents to let us order these books, so the initial release of the first two during the summer was the problem, in my opinion. But thankfully, it wasn't a detrimental error. So my twin brother and I were the first in our class to start getting Goosebumps. He got Welcome to Dead House, and I got Stay Out of the Basement. So I remember being up late one night, we were all reading, and after my first pangs of disappointment that there were no illustrations in the book, it's like, it's all words. What the heck? I ended up finding myself impressed that I managed to get like 70 pages in this thing in one sitting. It's quite gripping. So not too long after that, my mom came home with the remaining Goosebump books that were available. And up to that point, it was up to this one, Let's Get Invisible. So we had Monster Blood, Say Cheese and Die, Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, Goosebumps, right? I just made myself a meme. So yeah, my mom came home with the rest that were remaining, and then seeing that, ooh, on the back of Let's Get Invisible says, Reader beware, you're in for a scare. Coming soon from R.L. Stine. Night of the Living Dummy. Hold on, I dropped it on the floor. Which is this one, which was impossible to find. Oh my gosh. So that by this time, definitely by the time that this one came out, the series had completely exploded. And soon R.L. Stine found himself in a 5-year contract with Scholastic to develop Goosebumps. So one was going to be released every month. So that's awesome. So 5-year contract. So you're thinking, oh man, we're going to have Goosebumps for at least the next 5 years. That's awesome. You know, and when you're 10 years old, that's literally half a lifetime. So, I mean, that was pretty good. Goosebumps forever. The original Goosebumps series bid the world farewell in December 1997 with the release of Book 62, Monster Blood 4, and was soon replaced with the Goosebumps 2000 series, which lasted 25 novels. This series ended after a contract dispute saw R.L. Stine walking away from Scholastic. Goosebumps became the highest-selling children's book series of all time, and since has only been eclipsed by Harry Potter, currently holding the number 2 spot. During Goosebumps' heyday, the companion series Give Yourself Goosebumps, a choose-your-own-adventure style of books, was introduced, as well as a TV series for Fox Kids premiering in 1995. The Goosebumps legacy has lived on after the original series, Series 2000, Give Yourself Goosebumps, and TV series. In 2008, Goosebumps Horrorland was introduced, followed by Goosebumps Most Wanted and the current series, Goosebumps Slappy World, featuring the titular character from Night of the Living Dummy. Goosebumps also has 2 live-action movies starring Jack Black as R.L. Stine himself. But those movies are quite a bit funnier than you'd expect, but are perfectly in line with R.L. Stine's beginnings as a comedy writer. How did Goosebumps get its name? Let's hear the man explain the story himself.
They kept after me and said, no, we have to try it. And then finally I said, all right, if I can think of a good name for the series, we can try 2 or 3. And one day I'm reading TV Guide, and in those days they had the TV listings in the middle of the magazine, everything that was on. Right. And I'm looking through TV Guide, and there's a little ad at the bottom of the page. It said, it's Goosebumps Week on Channel 11. Mm-hmm. And I just stared at it. I knew it was perfect. Channel 11. We'll call it Channel 11.
Funny guy.